throw down. Heartbeats racing, can't slow down. Feel the tension, feel the heat. Emotions hitting on repeat. Wrestling win with our inner fight. In the spotlight ever.
Hey everybody, welcome in. I hope you're well. Wow, we are on the heels. We just finished All In 2025 for AEW. Let's see, it's just a little bit after 9 o'clock on the East Coast, so I believe some of you are probably maybe switched over or simultaneously watching, what is it, Saturday night's main event. I am not. I don't care. I saw a couple things online for it, but man, what a show. Today we're going to cover AEW and the pay-per-view that just was. So let me tell you, this time I actually took notes, so this should hopefully go not quick, but it should go smoother. But man, once again, AEW fucking kills it with the pay-per-view business. I will admit this started a little bit slow for me. We'll talk about that a little bit as well, but throughout the day, I guess, it just continuously kept building and building. And I guess what what would you call it? The last three matches were all considered to be main events. So we'll talk about those, and that's where it really kicked into another gear and solidified this probably as one of their top pay-per-views of all time. Still a few, in my opinion, that are head and shoulders like just amazing. But we'll get into it. So let's go ahead and get started with. I'm not going to talk about the kickoff show. That doesn't matter to me. I did not watch the Costco guys or whatever the hell that shit is, and the fucking Rizzler. As you'll hear, because I'll probably talk shit about WWE a little bit. The celebrity match piece is just awful. I don't care for it. I think that the main Costco guy, I think he was a professional wrestler. Tell me in the comments. I think he was a professional wrestler. In his younger days or something, maybe I don't know. Obviously he seems to have some skills or whatever. But either way, let's go and let's get started with the pay-per-view. So we kick off. It's the Ops versus the Death Riders in the Trios Championship. The Ops had originally taken the belts off of the Death Riders, so this is a rematch of sorts, but this time instead of Pac, you have Gabe Kidd joining from New Japan. Fits the mold perfectly for the Death Riders, as well as the whole angle around, taking down AEW for what it is and blah, 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 blah. He's been, a consistent voice for not, wanted to join AEW when he's now consistently popping up on pay-per-views and TV. But this was overall a good match. But he's a stud. Good match, decent. I have notes here. Good Lord, man. And this is where when I said it started slow for me, this is why it started slow. Too many chops. Golly, man. I understand the impact that a good placed, well-timed chop can have. Obviously, you're hitting the dude for real, in a safe way, but it has a high impact, and obviously from a visual standpoint, especially when they start to kind of burst some blood vessels and stuff like that, it does make for a decent and cool-looking image. But, I mean, it seemed like anybody who got in the ring, we had to go through just the battle of the chops. So that loses me after a while. This match was quick, or not really. Well, maybe we go 15, 20 minutes. But it ends with Samoa Joe pinning Wheeler Yuta with the Muscle Buster. After the bell, though, Joe is just destroyed and dismantled, and he's boarded off away to the hospital. We were supposed to get an update on his condition later in the show. We really don't get that, so I'm wondering if they're writing him off TV for any particular reason, or maybe he's filming something, or something's coming up pretty soon for him. But they kept the belts on the Ops, so maybe, I don't know, maybe it was just an angle for TV to keep maybe like Gabe Kidd invested, and they'll eventually, Yuta and him will show up. Yuta, Claudio, and Gabe will again show up later on in the main event. Spoilers. But the next match we get is the Casino Gauntlet men's match. It starts off with Mark Briscoe and MJF kind of just revisiting or rekindling the piece from the earlier in the week. Good video package here, kind of setting up the real personal angle that obviously MJF usually takes in any one of his matches or feuds. But it really set the stage, and I still need to watch. They've talked about it. They talked about it very briefly on the pay-per-view here as well. But the players, what is it? Not the Players Club, but the Players, is it the Players Tribune? Put together a really sweet and cool video tribute that goes through the Briscoe brothers, as well as, Mark talking about his brother and all that, and that whole situation. So I still need to watch it and luckily I think it's like a 30-minute watch, 30-minute watch, which is good. Because I'm sure they cover a lot, but I knew it was going to probably be an emotional one, so I kind of held off. But anyways, in terms of in the order of folks are appearing, and if you're not familiar with Casino Gauntlet rules, basically any number of wrestlers in the back it could be unlimited participants in the Casino Gauntlet. But it really comes down to who pins who first. So theoretically, this match could have ended very quickly if Mark Briscoe was either pinned or whatever by MJF. Ultimately, I think that's kind of how it starts off too. MJF with a couple of small packages, some roll-ups, trying to get a quick pin. It doesn't end up happening. So from there, you get Ricochet, Bandito, Takeshita, Mystico, Josh Alexander, Anthony Bowens, Roderick Strong, Brody King. Let me stop there for a second, because the next one is a surprise return, which was cool to see, and excited to have him back. I was hoping for some other folks to join him, but good to see him back. Brody King is a stud. I'm so glad that he and I know I don't know ultimately the ultimate ties between him and Malachi Black, Aleister Black, whatever you want to call him. And I think Buddy Matthews is out injured, but because of that ankle. But Brody is a stud, man. What a dude. They need to push this guy in some form or fashion. Like he is just awesome. What a powerhouse. What an awesome look. I got to pick up a figure. Of his. I should have got that damn Walmart exclusive. That was so sick. I mean, the deco hits on this guy because of all of his tattoos. I mean, it's just a marvel, and they did an awesome job, and bummed I missed that on that, but I'm sure I could probably find it. But we're leaving it in. It's late. Shit. Sorry. All right. Next, we have a returning Juice Robinson, sans beard. Great to see him back. Different look, of course, too. I think he was wearing black pants and a singlet top. But he looked good, moved well. Was fun to see him back in there, and also prompted the returns of the Guns as well, because the Gates, I think they're called the Gates of Agony. They interfered in this match a little bit as well, and you'll see the same kind of interference in the women's match later on, because there are no rules basically, or no disqualifications, I should say. You'll get some of these run-ins and things along those lines. So you get that. You get like I said, the return of the Guns. They take out the Gates, and then they move them out of here. Then it's Kota Ibushi, the Beast Mordos, Max Caster, and that's it for all the participants. It ends up with Mark Briscoe hitting. Who did he hit the move on? I forget who he hit the move on, but he takes out somebody, and then MJF capitalizes and ends up securing the pin and stealing the pin away from Mark Briscoe. So now MJF has a direct challenge and title shot for when he chooses. So that'll be interesting as we head into later in the evening with the men's finale, or what is it called? The men's main event. Jesus Christ, it's late. Next, we get the a four-way match for the men's TNT Championship, and this is sad. I will admit that I did tear up during this. because it does not obviously seem like an angle. It seems real life. Adam Cole came out to announce that he's going to be having to step away for a period of time. Undisclosed injury, I can only imagine, unless it's like a true sickness of some sort. Maybe effects still from maybe concussions. We've all seen the video of Kyle Fletcher kind of missing the apron with the outside power bomb on the apron, and him just kind of and nearly missing his head, Adam Cole, but landing awkwardly. Of course, who knows? And that was weeks ago, but that still probably could still carry over. And I did not watch Collision the other night, so I didn't see anything from like a massive injury standpoint. So maybe I'm assuming concussion issues. Stad, not sure if he's going to need to retire. He's in tears. Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly accompany him to the ring. All guys in tears, getting worked up thinking about it. But he has been through the ringer the last several years. He was a part of my favorite pay-per-view as well when he debuted, him and Bryan Danielson. But hopefully he recovers quickly, and it's something that he can bounce back from and doesn't have to retire, because it seemed incredibly serious. And then I saw, as I was tweeting a couple of things for the matches, it seemed pretty serious from the support that he was getting from some people and peers, not even in the same promotion. So we'll see what happens there. And also, so in this match, then transitioning over, you have Sammy Guevara, you have Dustin Rhodes, you have what's his name, Kyle Fletcher, and then you have who's the fourth participant in this? I'm sorry, I'm all flustered here because I'm fucking crying like a baby. Who the fuck is the? Stay with me, guys. I'm not really a fucking idiot like this. Now I'm starting to get pissed. I don't know who the fourth guy was. It doesn't even matter. They end up losing. But some interesting dynamics between Dustin and Sammy, obviously tag team partners, champions of Ring of Honor. Long story short, in a surprise, I was pretty sure they were going to put the belt on Kyle Fletcher in this. All roads seemed to lead that direction. And I wonder if Adam wasn't injured, if that would have been the angle that they took and put the belt on him. I'm sorry, it was Daniel Garcia. Dumbass. Daniel Garcia, he's the first guy that came out and hugged Adam Cole, too. Daniel Garcia, Dustin Rhodes, Kyle Fletcher, Sammy Guevara. Dustin Rhodes, in another feel-good story and another feel-good moment of several that'll happen throughout the night, wins the title. His first actual AEW-based championship. He was super emotional to win that. Great moment, him and his family coming in there. So now you have two Rhodeses in the industry on top of the world in their respective companies. So congratulations to him. Golly, man, I still remember him debuting as a kid in WWE. Marlena, just wow. The angle with him and Ahmed Johnson. I mean, it's crazy to think how far back that was now, and to see that he's still successful, loves AEW, and is closing things out in a really strong way. So good match again. Dustin wins. Feel good moment. Now things start to kind of pick up a little bit. You have the tag team match. You got the EVPs, the Young Bucks versus Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. Again, if you're not familiar already here, if the Bucks win, then neither Will Ospreay nor Swerve Strickland can challenge for the AEW World Championship or a championship in AEW, I believe, for a full calendar year. And the Bucks, if they lose, they are stripped of their EVP titles. So in my mind, I thought Bucks all the way here. I'm like, how are they going to pull that angle, or how are they ultimately going to make that work? But I think it's smart. Well, spoilers: the Bucks lose. Swerve and Ospreay do win, and it was a fantastic tag match. All four of these guys just tremendous, amazing chemistry. Of course, the Bucks are like a clock. These dudes are fine-tuned machines. They don't. I think because of all the bullshit online and all the fucking hate, and how they play heels extremely well, I think a lot of people lose sight and focus about how great overall these guys have been and how influential they've been as a tag team. And man, they still shine. They're in tremendous shape as well. They do end up losing this match, so they are stripped of their EVP titles. They will also appear later on in the finale, or the I keep saying the finale, the main event. You have the triple threat, or the triple main event. We're close to talking about that pretty soon. But interesting to see what's going to happen with the Bucks now. I thought they would kind of fade away a little bit, because this is kind of like, in my opinion, I was looking at all of these matches that involved the Elite as well as the Death Riders, and assuming, especially after Swerve and Will beat the Bucks, that you'll start, and of course after the Death Riders lost the the trios championship match to start out the night, that you were going to slowly start to see the transition of power over to the tried and trues for AEW. Later, there's a change that I didn't see coming, and it kind of threw a wrench in that for me. So I think, but I'll explain how I think it was set up perfectly to do that. So next we have the women's gauntlet, which I think was better than the men's, to be honest with you. Started out with Chris Statlander and Megan Bayne. And then I think maybe one of the pops of the night was for Willow Nightingale. She came in third, followed by Tay Mello. You then see Harley Cameron return, and I saw Sean Ross from Fightful post the same thing. I thought it was Allie the Bunny returning from the face mask that she was wearing, but no, it was Harley Cameron. So she returned, because of course you had outside interference going on at the same time, with Penelope Ford, who accompanies Megan Bayne to the ring, etc. And then, so she gets involved a little bit. Harley does. Next comes in Thekla, or Tekla. I have a hard time saying her name, but I'll tell you what. And I wrote this note. The song rips. Her entrance music is so awesome. It's so heavy and just fucking just awesome. I mean, it was awesome. I don't know another word to describe it, but it ripped. Next, you get Julia Hart, Queen Aminata, and I don't understand the appeal of Queen Aminata. And that hand gesture that she does is the most annoying. It's so fucking stupid. But she's improving. Maybe that's the point. And she is, I believe, homegrown. So you got her. Of course, her and Tekla, I believe, have a beef going. Next, you get Mina Sherikau, Athena, Thunder Rosa, Sheree debuts, and Alex Windsor debuts as well. Ultimately, and I think, did I miss her name? Oh, okay, no, I said Athena. Athena ends up pulling off the win here. Big win. Exciting to see her back in the fold. I know she's been extremely successful, especially on the Ring of Honor side, but she was a big player for a while on the AEW side, especially when Jade was when Jade started out. You know what I'm thinking about now? I wonder why Jade got to keep her name, but they changed Ricky Starks and they changed Mariah May's name. Why did Ethan Page get to keep his name? Interesting. I wonder why that is. But either way, I digress. Athena wins, so now she, much like MJF, is set up for a title shot against the winner of the women's championship match, which will be coming up rather soon after one more three-way tag match for the World Tag Team Championships. You have the Hurt Syndicate versus the Patriarchy versus Who is who is that other team? Patriarchy, Hurt Syndicate, and Jet Speed. Mike Speedball Bailey. Okay, perfect. I thought, based on what I had read online, I was assumed a couple, well, two things. I thought it was going to go two ways, and then it ultimately did. One, I thought the Patriarchy would have won because I heard rumors that they had actually created like a father and son tag team championship. That would have been cool to see and unique, but I'm sure maybe it took too long to kind of put that together. So they maybe ultimately scrapped it. At the end of the day, the Hurt Syndicate ends up winning this, and then the Patriarchy disbands. They end up attacking, and this was the second piece I was thinking that was going to happen. They end up attacking Christian Cage. They're going to go for the concerto, and then whose music pops? Copeland, Adam Copeland. I'm going to call him Edge. I've done it since the beginning. I cannot call him Cope. Edge's music hits. He comes out, makes the save on Christian. If you remember when Copeland or when Adam, good, I guess I can say it, when he debuted for AEW and they had a face to face, Christian famously had that viral moment where he said, "Go fuck yourself" to him. Edge counters this time as they both stand in the ring together, just with one final thought of "Go find yourself." So we'll see. It looks like we're heading to a situation where, obviously, Edge and Christian will tag once more, and they'll probably. I think they do. Next month is Forbidden Door, and then I think the next month after that is. I think it's All Out, and it's going to be in Toronto, or at least it's in Canada. So to see those dudes come back together, it's to me inevitable for that pay per view, probably against FTR, and that's going to be amazing. Another story that came together, and that's going to be awesome to watch. So excited for this twist. I know Christian's probably one of my favorite guys. He was, even when he was in WWE, and he had come back and he was feuding before he left, I think, for like the second time. And that, but I think the second time, I think he left because of injury. But either way, it was when he had like a really short stinted world championship moment. He was really feuding with Randy Orton. I was loving his work there. I think he's always been terrific on the mic, super underrated, and the work that he's done as Christian Cage in the the patriarch mode, and this like all the stuff with the dad's dying and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he has been awesome. He steals the show every time he's on the mic. So excited to see where this goes. I hope he doesn't go full face. Hope he's able to keep. I hope he's able to keep that edge, no pun intended, that he has when he's on the mic, when he's a heel, because he's one of the best at it. In my personal opinion, I think he's amazing and awesome. Okay, now we're getting closer. The next match, man, amazing. Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné, this time for the AEW Women's World Championship, and it did not disappoint at all. These two women, and there's a couple of people that are out there, and obviously more. I was going to say more prominent, and that was going to be like a joke because no shit. But there's certainly some people out there that are probably still under in some capacity, either a Legends deal or on the WWE payroll, that consistently have to take undermining shots on AEW. Even in compliments at some points, there's always a hint of sarcasm or a shot. And I know Mercedes has been specifically targeted in terms of her run in AEW being less than stellar, or the match quality isn't as good as when like she wrestled Bayley back in the day, which is just absolutely fucking ridiculous. This woman has set the world on fire. The latest bullshit was that she had creative control and that's why she was winning all these belts. She is a draw, whether she's liked or not. Like, she is a terrific talent, an amazing wrestler, excellent in the ring, and elevates her opponents. Um, she did terrific. She has set a standard, I think, and helped elevate the women's division that they have right now, which is stacked, in my opinion. Which is it's tremendous, and I can't wait till they get to the next phase, hopefully, of introducing like a women's tag team division, because I think that'll be terrific. There's a lot of women just kind of not floating, but that could use a push, and I think the addition of like a tag team division would certainly help to kind of elevate that. So, long story short, terrific. Both of these ladies have really cool entrances. Um, and from the bell, I mean, it was a classic psychological match. A lot of back and forth, a lot of innuendo, and just kind of like mind games from Tony Storm. Um, some false finishes. My opinion, probably the second best. You know what? I'm gonna. It's hard to say this because when I talk about the main event, it's pretty excellent. But I think it's more bolstered by a lot of the run-ins that it had versus the overall story kind of that the match itself told. I think the main event for the men's match was a culmination of stories that finally came together and paid off, things that have been going on for like the last 2+ years. So that's the difference. The women, I think, bell to bell, without interference, without any additional, fanfare, put together a strong, excellent match, false finishes, and then ultimately Tony Storm ends up winning and retaining her title. Just a tremendous match, and it ends up with like I think a Storm Zero from the top rope, and it looked rough. And she's probably really, really just great at selling, but I was absolutely concerned that Mercedes had possibly gotten hurt, but I didn't see or hear anything about that post show, so I'm assuming everything is fine. Um, Next match, we have Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. And I was pumped for this, and I think the crowd was incredibly hyped for this as well. Obviously, the majority of their matches have been overseas in New Japan. So to see this on American soil for the first time in, the next chapter and what was billed as the potentially like last match for them, it did not disappoint in terms of the overall match, but I was very disappointed with the finish. Um, Part of it to me was lazy in a sense because once again Don Callis gets involved again in some form or fashion. Um, and I think it's played out at this particular point. And if you're gonna have this level of a match, it sucks that it had to fucking have interference as to push a finish. It would have been nice to see something clean, but I get it. But again, this surprised me because with Okada winning, now unifying the titles, um, I was surprised because I thought it would have been the final piece of transitioning power back, like I mentioned to like the AEW guys. But I think it's smart because it sets up for a really great finale to close the night. I think if you would have had, because I think I don't know if everybody expected Tony Storm to win, but if you had that and then you had Kenny Omega winning and then you had Hangman Adam Page winning, I think it kind of takes away from Hangman's win because I think they would have both received incredible pops for how exciting and important those particular matches were. But I think it probably furthers the storyline even more with Okada winning. So we'll see where that goes. But I was a little disappointed, obviously, that Kenny lost. And then we have the men's main event, Texas Death Match, Hangman Adam Page versus John Moxley. Two solid entrances. I think Hangman's was obviously stellar with the singer in there, doing the whistling, and very cool to see him bring back his old theme as well. I thought that was fun. And I think a lot of people were kind of hoping and anticipating that he would do that. Immediately out the jump, we'll get a controversial moment that I'm sure people will complain about online. And it was rough to watch, to be honest with you. But it immediately starts. We're probably 2 minutes into the match, and Forks make their way, they make their appearance right away, and it's not subtle like you usually. What would happen is like it wouldn't be like it would be stabbed into someone's head, but like with a hand covering it and just kind of grinding it in. This was like constant like jabs and stabs by Adam Page to Moxley's head, and it's spewing right away. It's I mean each stab, blood is just popping out right away. So I'm like, oh man, and I think Tony Schiavone kind of summarized this best in part of the match. You knew it was going to be a Texas death match. You knew it was going to be a tough one to watch in certain aspects. And it's Adam Page and it's Jon Moxley. Two guys that always will take it to the limit. I mean, this is the same Moxley that had Edge's bat stabbed into his back. This is the same Hangman that fucking took staples and blood in the mouth and has won multiple Texas death matches. Excuse me, to include choking out Jon Moxley in one of them. So from bell to bell, this one was amazing as well. Great storytelling. I think they did an amazing job of really pacing the match well, and I'll give her credit because when she was an act or a solo act, at least on the women's side, Marina Shafir was one of the toughest people to watch wrestle and to listen to on the mic. The role that she has played with the Death Riders as like an enforcer and henchman essentially for Jon Moxley was the perfect casting of sorts to elevate her, and she's done a tremendous job, and I think she did a great job in this match too, and in this feud in particular. She's taken two wild bumps. The first, or at least maybe even three. The first one obviously is the buckshot lariat from Hangman a few nights or a few weeks back on Dynamite, and then tonight she goes through a table. Not a dead eye, but very similar, almost a power bomb of sorts. And she is laid out for a while. So you get the usual outside interference. You get the usual involvement of the Death Riders, Yuta, Claudio, Gabe Kidd getting involved. They lay out eventually. Like Will Ospreay comes to help out as well. He gets laid out and stretchered out. A lot of stretcher activity on this one. He gets stretchered out. And then, just as they're about to do or bag up the plastic bag over Hangman's head, after multiple chokeouts, after multiple bed of nails finishes, glass finishes, table breaks, barbed wire. I mean, this match had everything that you could possibly want in it, minus light tubes probably. But you still had the glass element with actually real, bottles of glass and stuff like that. Lots of blood. Tough to watch in many of the spots too. I mean, it was a very tough match to watch. But then you get the elements where they start to infuse like and pay off things that you've been thinking about for a while. If you remember, Jon Moxley won this title originally when when Yuta and those guys turned on Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, bagged his head, won the championship, and then locked it away in the briefcase. Because when Paige wins at the end of the night, it still has the old plates from when Bryan Danielson. Damn, I keep doing it. When Bryan Danielson was still the champion there. So you have that aspect. And then, originally the thought process was this match was either, in my mind, was going to be probably not Adam Page, but it was going to be Darby Allin. I think it was going to pay off, him being like the new AEW main guy. But I'm super glad that they went this direction. Because to me, Adam Page, I mean, Darby's obviously a day one dude as well, right? But the story in the background of him with the Elite, the Bullet Club, the trials and tribulations for the first couple of years, his demons and the battle with Swerve, and then, with the Dark Order and all these things, I'm going all over the place, all over the map. This was the right thing to do in terms of like paying off something and giving hope, I guess, is the best thing to like what's next and what's ahead. And I think I gave them tons of shit, and I think a lot of people did too, because I felt like maybe John had held on to the title for too long. But now to see this match, to see everything kind of come together, and to have the sense of relief that that part of it is over in a sense, I think was the ultimate payoff, because there were times in this match where I was like, "Oh my God, this is they're about to do it to us again. They're about to keep the title on John Moxley." Um, I think it was very cool to see Swerve come down and get involved. At one point in the match, when things start to kind of turn in the positive direction for Hangman, Marina is told to go get the briefcase, which is at the timekeeper's table. She reaches under the table to grab it, and she's handcuffed. And Prince Nana dances. Of course, he locked her up there, which is cool. Then you have Swerve coming down with the chain that that Hangman had given him just the other night. And now Hangman's going to use that, and he uses it on Moxley. He beats up some of the Death Riders with it as well. The Bucks get involved and get interfere. When the Bucks got involved, I was like, "We're fucked. It's gonna happen again. Hangman's gonna get screwed." And then like I'm thinking like, okay, what's gonna happen at Forbidden Door next month? Like who could possibly take this championship away? But then of course you get a quick video vignette, clearly from the top of Everest, with the bearded Darby Allin, which I wish he had kept the beard. Like he looked completely different. He looked like a badass, because moments later, someone jumps the barricade, and I thought it was Darby Allin based on the video package, because the guy in the ring had a beard, but he's wearing like a luchador mask. Then immediately starts doing the yes chants, hits the Busaka knees to the boys, and it's like, oh man, Bryan Danielson he's back, or at least back enough to help secure the win for Hangman. Takes those guys out, they battle to the floor, they leave, and then in classic Sting fashion, and I was nervous as shit, Darby comes from the highest point of the building, on a not a zip line, but a just like a loose line. I don't know. He repels down from the top of the building, and takes out the Death Riders again. Gabe Kidd's out there as well, and that clears the way for again Hangman to choke out John Moxley, who taps after he's like frantic on the outside of the ring, retain, and then we have a new champion. It's Adam Page, and I'll admit I got a little teary eyed because it was awesome. Like he was super excited. It paid off, something that was a couple of years, because I knew at the time when he beat Kenny Omega for the title way back that it was the time for him to win the title. It was time for him to win the championship. Kenny was also hurt, so he was going to take some time off, considerable amount of time off, for multiple surgeries, I think, at that particular point, to repair different things that were going on. But long story short, I don't think Hangman had the best title reign in the beginning, and I remember seeing it live. I went to AEW live. I saw the beginning of the championship reign, and I don't think it's any fault of his own. I just don't think it was booked incredibly well, so it didn't really give him an opportunity to shine against some guys. I remember like he went against, and this is no disrespect, I mean, but he went against like some random. I can't even remember his name right now. It's late, but it wasn't booked great. So I'm interested to see where they go. Obviously, we talked about it earlier. MJF is now not necessarily your number one contender, but he has the contract and can vie for that title at any particular point that he would like. So you'll imagine that he'll cash that in sooner or later. If it doesn't happen at Forbidden Door, it'll probably happen at the next month. What happens with Mox now and the Death Riders? I'm sure John deserves some time off as well. Like he is a mainstay in AEW, whether you like him or not, and most of the time I don't, because it's a lot of the same to me. But he does play the ultimate villain, and I think he did a great job to set the stage for what this looked like, and putting the belt on Hangman and seeing what happens next. So very exciting. I gave high marks again. It was a long pay-per-view. I'm sure people will shit on that too online. But man, you get what you pay for sure. I mean, 6 hours of wrestling plus the pre-show, which is another hour, maybe an hour and a half too. If you're live and in attendance, I mean, how could you not feel like you got everything you possibly could have deserved Because to put it into comparison, and AEW is adding shows, more pay-per-views and things like that. Not monthly, but almost. We're getting there where we're adding, different shows throughout the year. So they're getting to a point where, they're also going to have like a monthly type thing. But we're not there yet. But when they do have one, I mean they are awesome. Eh, Go online and look. The feedback is positive. Every show they do is really good. As opposed to like putting together four matches that are nothing. That's why, like, I think I forget when we talk about Bad Blood or whatever precedes or follows WrestleMania is typically a rehash of what just you saw on WrestleMania, but you get like 4 or 5 matches and you call it good. And I'm not shitting on WWE. I still love WWE. It's still what got me into wrestling to begin with. But I'm just saying, if people are going to talk about how can somebody watch 6 hours of wrestling, you just counter programmed over 6 hours of wrestling with NXT, which I don't even know who watched it. You had, did you have a crossover with AAA as well? I don't know. And then Saturday Night Main Event, and then tomorrow night I will watch Evolution. And I think you fucking shortchanged those women, because I missed the first Evolution. Oh, to put a pin in it, all in, awesome AEW, great job. What a year! What a freaking year! Great job. Super excited for this company. Love that it exists. Love that both, like, all the promotions that we have to be able to watch as a fan. Oh, there are so many of them that are all stacked. TNA. Um, I'm not going to count NXT. There's a few good folks in there, but it's a developmental show. But you have good talent in it, like Ethan Page, and then you have, um, obviously, Ring of Honor, an AEW property in a sense. AEW, I'm sorry, AAA, CML, CMLL. You have New Japan, Stardom. I mean, I'm missing a few here. GCW even. Like what Matt Cardona and a lot of these guys have brought light to in terms of like some of these independent promotions. And not that GCW ever needed Matt Cardona's help, but I definitely think that shined a new spotlight on that company, because like you see, and Mox might have been there first, but there are tons of people that end up going there and making a name, or it's solidifying that promotion. So I just want to say, like, wrestling can be awesome, and it is awesome most of the time with the options and the availability that we have. When I was growing up, you really had, at a point, WWE or WWF at the time, as far as I knew, WWF, WCW, and then you had some independents, and then you had whatever was going on in Japan. And that was kind of really it. The promotions, I'm sorry, the territories at that particular time had kind of all been dropped or sucked up by WWF, and it kind of like died. So the independent scene was super. I mean, it was independent, like small town promotions and things like you wouldn't really get a lot of mainstream vision or visual success. Certainly not TV deals. And the internet was a budding adventure at that particular time, so you weren't going to get like a lot. You weren't going to get video, and if you did, um, there was no such. I mean, streaming did not exist. I mean, I can tell you, like, if I wanted to watch like a 2 second clip, like a 30 second clip, it would take me fucking 30 minutes to download it. So it was a totally different time, and I know I sound like an old dude, but then once again, like ECW comes along. It's on public access. It's wild. It's awesome. It's different. It's new. It changed the landscape. You start to see, like, once ECW comes around, that's to me like when the Attitude Era really starts to kind of really like take shape, because you start to see WWF, you start to see WCW an extent adapting or adopting some of the style. But I digress. Tomorrow, Evolution WWE. I feel terrible for these. I think right now it's on pace to be one of the lowest selling ticketed events for WWE for a pay-per-view standpoint, or PLE, whatever you want to call it. And I think it was because of I mean, God, man, it seems if it feels unfair to these ladies because, like I mentioned previously, I missed the first one, the first Evolution, because I was not really watching wrestling for a good period of time, so I missed that. I had taken a break. I was bored and burned out. There was no alternatives to drive the product forward, but I knew how important it was. I mean, I was aware of it at the time. I just didn't watch it. Now you have a chance to kind of get more women involved. Some women who were a part of the first one, get them back in the mix, and then some women who weren't able to attend or be a part of that first one, get them involved now. I mean, tomorrow I'm still going to watch. I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be cool. I'm rooting for these types of things because I think, to me, and I've said this before, women's wrestling to me in many cases is more interesting. I think there are more dynamic and different types of personalities within those groups, that are interesting and more exciting to watch in some cases. Yes, it can be tough for sure in some cases, but I mean, I challenge you to not watch a Tony Storm promo match. Same thing with Mercedes, a match, something that's going on with Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Becky when she's on the mic versus in the ring. Um, there is a lot of meat on the bone, so to speak, and it felt like they were kind of rushed a lot of this to put it together. So of course, like the easy solutions for some of these things is what, to put together a big battle royal, right? So that'll be interesting because you're probably going to get some throwbacks that'll come in there. So maybe we'll see some folks that we haven't seen for quite a while, and hopefully some things that we weren't expecting, because it has the opportunity to be really cool if you put the right timing and planning involved that it's going to take to sell that to an audience that has a lot of options. And that's the tough part. But then when you're doing all of this silly counter programming to hurt to hurt a company that you said is not your competition, by counter programming multiple shows on the day and the night, it doesn't make any sense. And then it backfires on you too, because then the quality of the program that you put out is less than stellar. You have to downsize the event size that you were going to originally have because you're not selling the tickets, because more people are interested in watching the AEW All In than Goldberg potentially win the championship again off of Gunther, and then Jelly Roll getting a tag team match basically set up for SummerSlam. That's the plan. That's terrible. And that's what I said too about the All In pre-show. I don't need to see the Costco guys, the fucking Rizzler. That's stupid to me. I don't think you need to do it. And I understand from a marketing standpoint, all these cross promotions, they bring different eyes to the property, to the product, and people who maybe haven't watched or never even considered watching will start to tune in and maybe see it for the first time. I completely understand all that. Believe me, I do. I'm not a complete idiot. I'm not your everyday average fool, okay? If you know what that's from, you're a legend. But anyways, what a great day for wrestling. Man, 6 hours flew by. What a lot of fun. Excited for tomorrow night. I think it's a nighttime start. But excited for it. We'll talk about it probably either tomorrow night or during the week. But thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the pay-per-view. Leave in the comments what you thought. Follow us on YouTube at Wrestling with Emotions. We just put up a podcast last weekend where we started to do a movie review podcast, or part of it as well. Movie night, where we talk about Clown in a Cornfield and how I shred that movie. We'll do those from time to time, but excited to hear your thoughts. Excited to create more content. And again, as I mentioned last week, very briefly in the Clown in a Cornfield podcast, I talked a little wrestling. I knew today would reinvigorate my wrestling spirit, I guess, because I was very happy with what I saw and excited to see what happens next. Great show. Everybody have a great night, and thanks for listening.
In the ring where we throw down, heartbeats racing, can't slow down. Feel the tension, feel the heat, emotions hitting on repeat. Wrestling win with our inner fight. In the spotlight every night. Voices shout and bodies clash. In this world emotions crash. Tangled up in thoughts we spin, in the chaos we begin. Finding strength that's deep inside, facing fears we cannot hide. Wrestling win with our inner fight. In the spotlight every night. Voices shout and bodies clash. In this world emotions crash. Every grapple, every hold tells a story to be told. Raw and real and full of fire, pushing through the darkest mire. Wrestling with our inner fight. In the spotlight every